Have you ever used the Auth0 MCP Server before? If not, I have a good reason for you to try, especially if you use VS Code. We just improved the experience of using the Auth0 MCP Server within VS Code. And I'm a VS Code user, so I'm very excited for this new update. Let's dive into it, right? So basically, if you like to reading more than watching videos, or if you want to take your time and digest the information that I'm going to be sharing today, there is a blog post for you. It's going to be linked within here somewhere for this video, and you can check it out at your own pace and let me know what you thought about it. But long story short, we just improved some of the experience for setting up the Auth0 MCP server within VS Code, and I want to show it to you how to do it and a few tips and tricks that I picked up while using it myself. So let's get started. Let's jump into the VS Code. And here I have this application that I was working on, and it is for workshop that I'm going to be presenting at Auth0 in a few days. But that's not the most important part for this one. The most important part is for the MCP server. I want to make sure that my logins are coming through with my first users, and I want to make some analysis and see what that looks like without even leaving the IDE, which is, I think, the biggest win for us developers, especially when we are in the flow and developing our applications. We want to set up everything and we don't want to move from the IDE because it might break our flow. And so if you never used the MCPs with VS Code before, the way to do it is go into the extensions tab, where you're going to see your VS Code extensions, the installed, the recommended ones, but also on the left side menu, you can also see a list of MCP servers. As you can see here, I don't have any MCP servers installed yet, but let's install the Auth0 MCP server right now. So here in the terminal, I'm going to give it a command. So for the Auth0 MCP server, it is deployed as an npm package, and you can use it with npx. So the command is this. So npx and the name of the package. And I have a tendency of trying to pinning my packages, versions as much as I can to avoid having conflicts or updates and upgrades that break my code. And so I'm using the version of the Auth0 MCP server, which is the beta 7 version. So I'm pinning that version as well. And I'm passing the init command and passing along the flag client and choosing VS Code. So let's run it and see what happens. And so it should download the code on my machine on a temporary location for npx, and then give me the list of scopes that I want to select for the MCP server. Following the principle of, list privilege principle, we want to give our MCP server the minimum necessary amount of access to our things. For this case, I just wanted to read all of my information within Auth0, and I don't want it to perform any actions like creating applications yet. For here, reading the information that I have is more than enough. So I'm going to select all of the scopes for reading. So reading clients, and the way to select it is by using the spacebar and go down the list. So I read clients, and I also select the resource server, actions, logs, and forms. So basically, once I press enter, I'm going to be prompted to go through the authorization process. And this is using my favorite flow, my favorite authorization flow, the device flow. And it's going to make your life a little bit easier, because then you can open a browser for you to log into Auth0 and pick your tenant. So you can notice here that we have a code that we'll need to confirm within the browser. So let's go to enter and open the browser. And here I can see the device confirmation code. I can also see that it's the same one that I saw on the terminal, and I can confirm. I'm already logged in, so it's already showing my list of tenants. But the other side to this is, if you're not logged in, it would prompt you to log into Auth0. And so here I have like 3 tenants. These are my tenant testing account. And so I have a GenAI 1, a development 1, and a test 1, 2, 3, because naming things is hard. And so I'm going to pick the GenAI 1, which is the one that I'm using for the workshop for now. And the other thing that I'm going to do that is really important is checking what the scopes that are showing in this page, because they should reflect the same scopes that I selected in the terminal while running the wizard. So clients, read, actions, resource servers, logs, and forms. Great. Those are the ones that I selected. There is nothing extra here. I can accept. And then, da-da-da, I always make the da-da-da sound when everything's go right, because I think it's important to celebrate the victories. And so congratulations, you're all set. So if you go back to the VS Code and in the terminal, we should see a checkbox on the waiting for authorization. Great, it worked. Now we go into the details for VS Code. You can select what type of access you're going to give to MCP server. You can give a global access, which basically would mean that every instance of VS Code that you run will have access to the MCP server, or you can give Workspace. And once again, the least privilege principle is going to apply here. I'm going to choose Workspace. In choosing Workspace, we need to select also where we want to run, which workspace, which projects we want to run this. And so I already have a location for this one, which is this project that I'm running, and I'm going to copy it and put it on here. And what is going to happen is that this is going to create a file in my code. Not only that, you're going to see the Auth0 here in the list of my MCP servers now. Yay. And it is installed. You can see that the name is Auth0. The type is stdio, which basically is using the stdio, the standard input and output layer for transport. And then we have the command, which is going to be npx and all of those good things that we need for the Auth0 MCP server. But one thing that I can already tell is not pinning the version. So let's first start with that one. Let's pin the version for our MCP server. So if you have a .vs code folder within your project, it's going to be created a mcp.json file inside that folder. If you don't have it, it's going to create a folder for you with the .json. And you can already see here that we have 19 tools. Yay. But the server is not running, so we need to start it. And before that, let me pin the version. So I'm teaching you this just in case you want to pin versions for all the servers that you have, not only the Auth0 one. And I'm going to use the same version that I was using for running my init command for the initialization. And then dash beta 7. And saving it, and now I can start the server. And once I start, it's going to show all the options here. If something is wrong, let's say you forgot to give a flag, you forgot to give a piece of the command, it's going to show an error here, and the more option. The more will show you all the information for all the options for your MCP server, so you can restart the server. It's kind of the same thing that you're already seeing in the menu inline, but the most important one is this show output. Why I'm going to tell you this is because sometimes you might need to debug stuff, and the easiest way to get to the output for an MCP server is through this inline options here. Of course, because I'm running my MCP server within my workspace in my project. If you were a global MCP server, you could just come into the output tab and then select the MCP server that you're looking for within this list. So you can see here the Auth0 MCP server. And if you scroll in here, you can see that we are connecting the server version, information like tools available and so on, but nothing went wrong, so that's good. Mostly warnings and information type of logs within my, the log for the output for this server. Great, the server is running. So I guess it is time for us to actually try using it. What do you think? Before that, as you can tell here, we have 19 tools. So what are those 19 tools, you may be wondering? So in the Auth0 MCP server documentation within GitHub, you can see all of the documentation for the Auth0 MCP server, especially like what clients are supported and how to add for different clients, the ones that we already have a pre-configuration within the wizard. And so here you can see a list of all of the tools that you have available. For example, listing applications, resource servers, APIs and whatnot, actions, and logs and forms. So let's see two of those examples. Let's talk about our list of applications first. And another important thing, if you're using this for the first time, you've never used it before, you might not know this, is for you to use MCP servers within VS Code, you need to be in agent mode. And then you can select whichever LLM provider you want to use or whatever model you want to use for your application. In my case, I'm just using Claude because that's the one that I prefer. And a suggestion for you, try different ones and see what the result looks like. I don't know, it might be interesting. I noticed that some of the LLMs have different varying levels of information being displayed on the chat, even though they will receive the same response from the server for the same request. Okay, let's run one. Let's see how many applications I do have on this account. And if I go into here in my chat and type in what applications do I have? And I created a habit of always telling where I want the LLM to look for applications. So I put the Auth0 in the end, just in case I have other MCP servers that actually list more information on applications somewhere. So here you can see that I have 5 applications and some of the information for the apps, like the ID for that application. And so if you go into the Auth0 dashboard, I'm already in my tenant, the GenAI tenant, and if I go into applications, you can see here that are the applications that I have listed there, apart from one other one that is the all applications, which is basically all of them. Kind of cool, huh? But I also logged in a few times with test users. I want to see, can you give me stats? I'm used to be a data scientist in a previous life, so me and numbers, we are very good friends. So give me stats for login. And I'm going to hope that the LLM will understand that I want login statistics from my Auth0 MCP server, and it did, thank God. Very smart of you, thank you. And then if I scroll down a little bit, it shows total login events found, 4 successful logins, and then by the type, 3 events, 1 event, use activity. I'm not going to scroll down further because it's going to have some sensitive information that I don't want you to see, but you catch my drift, which is really cool because I keep going to these portions of the dashboard to see that type of information all the time. And so it makes my life a little bit easier to just be able to do it on the IDE and not have to switch context and not get distracted by switching tabs into my browser. I hope you enjoyed this one and you're going to give the Auth0 MCP server a try. And if you have any questions, if you have any opinions, any feedback to give, please drop a comment, send me a message. I love to hear about it. And see you on the next one. Bye.